So I was telling you about the powers of the president and what the president can or cannot do, and you understood by now that the president has to act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers, and president usually, except in some marginal cases, cannot act in his own discretion. Now if you come to article 75 clause 2, it says that the minister shall hold office during the pleasure of the president. Alright, so technically you may think that since the office is held at the pleasure of the president, then he may dismiss any minister, right? Wrong. Even the dismissal of minister should be in pursuance of aid and advice of the prime minister. ठीक है? Thus, it is the power of the prime minister against his undesirable colleagues. It is not the power of the president which he may exercise in his own discretion. Remember, if the president by himself exercises this power and dismisses a prime minister or council of ministers, then what does he do? He has acted in the violation of the constitution, because he is to act in aid and advice of the council of ministers. And if he dismisses a minister or dismisses a ministry for that matter, or even the prime minister, then impeachment proceedings may be initiated against him. Clause 3 of Article 75 says that the Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the House of People, not Rajya Sabha, House of People. Be very particular about that. This is also one of the most popular question. So the entire Council of Ministers is made collectively responsible to the House of People, and that ensures the smooth functioning of the democratic machinery. The Council of Ministers work as a team, and all decisions taken by the cabinet are the joint decision of all its members. No matter what be their personal differences of opinion within the cabinet, but once a decision has been taken by any member of the cabinet, it is duty of each and every minister to stand by it and support it, both in the legislature and the outside. The union legislature is the parliament. Now Lord Salisbury explained this principle of collective responsibility as thus, and I quote, "For all that passes in the cabinet, each member of it who does not resign is absolutely irretrievably responsible, and has no right afterwards to say that he agreed in one sense to a compromise, while in another he was persuaded by his colleagues." Thus, as soon as the ministry loses the confidence of the House or is defeated on any question of policy, it must resign. If no confidence motion is passed against any one minister, the entire Council of Ministers must resign. You must also understand that let us suppose a very absurd policy is being framed by one minister. So during the cabinet meeting, the council of ministers or cabinet ministers may disagree with that particular policy, but once the policy has been implemented and the question is asked in the parliament, all the ministers, regardless of their personal differences, have to support the decision of that particular minister. Always remember, the council of minister will sail together and sink together. ठीक है, वो साथ में तैरेंगे भी और साथ में डूबेंगे भी. ठीक है, कोई एक मिनिस्टर ये नहीं कह सकता कि मैं इस चीज को सपोर्ट करता हूं पर दूसरे डिसीजन को सपोर्ट नहीं करता. ऐसे में अगर इफ ही पर्सनली डिसएग्रीज विद द opinion of a particular minister or a policy of the particular minister, then what he must do is resign from the cabinet. He must resign from the position of council of minister and then oppose that particular policy. While being the member of the council of minister, he cannot oppose the policy of his colleague. So remember, if any minister does not agree with the majority of the decision of the council of minister, his option is to resign or accept the majority decision. If he does not, the prime minister would drop him from the cabinet and thus ensure collective responsibility. This is a great weapon in the hands of the prime minister, through which he maintains unity and discipline in his colleagues. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar once remarked on this and said that the prime minister is really the keystone of the arc of the cabinet, and until we create that office and endow that office with statutory authority to nominate and dismiss ministers, there can be no collective responsibility. Now it needs to be clarified that along with the principle of collective responsibility, the principle of individual responsibility of each minister to the parliament also works. Every minister has to answer question regarding the affairs of his department in the parliament. he cannot throw the responsibility of his department either on his officials or on another minister. If the minister has taken an action with the cabinet's approval, the principle of collective responsibility arrives, and the whole cabinet should support and defend his action. However, if the minister has taken action without the cabinet's approval, the cabinet may or may not support him, and in case of non-support, the minister has to go and not the whole cabinet, but the cabinet cannot retain the minister and at the same time contend that the responsibility is all his and not theirs. This is the opinion of Supreme Court in the case of Ram Javaya versus State of Punjab, EIR 1955, Supreme Court, page number 519. Now comes a ticklish theoretical question. Now there is no doubt about the President's power to dismiss the ministry that has lost confidence in the Lok Sabha. By Lok Sabha में ministry lost the confidence, government गिर गई, President can dismiss it. But can a President dismiss a ministry which though enjoys the confidence of Lok Sabha but has lost the support of the people? ये बड़ा ticklish theoretical question है, ठीक है? तो क्या ऐसा हो सकता है कि लोकसभा तो सपोर्ट कर रही है काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स को पर पीपल ऑफ इंडिया नहीं कर रहे? अब टेक्निकली ये कहा जा सकता है कि इट इज नो वायलेशन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रैक्टिस और प्रिंसिपल इफ द प्रेसिडेंट डिसमिसेस अ मिनिस्ट्री when he is satisfied on reasonable grounds that it has lost the support of the people. टेक्निकली और थियोरेटिकली ये बोला जा सकता है क्योंकि will of the people must in the end prevail and the president will be violating the constitution only if he allows a discredited government to continue, that too only because it has succeeded in managing to keep its members of the legislature in its favor. तो एक तरफ कुआं और एक तरफ खाई वाली सिचुएशन हो जाती है क्योंकि प्रेसिडेंट हैज टू एक्ट अबव द पार्टी पॉलिटिक्स एंड हैज टू डिफेंड एंड गार्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जैसे कि उनकी ओथ है. तो ऐसी सिचुएशन अराइज हो सकती है कि पीपल ऑफ इंडिया ने मिनिस्ट्री में कॉन्फिडेंस खो दिया है पर लोकसभा का कॉन्फिडेंस अभी भी मिनिस्ट्री में है. तो क्या प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया डिसमिस कर सकते हैं ऐसी मिनिस्ट्री को? क्योंकि देखिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिंसिपल का इसमें वायलेशन नहीं है, ठीक है, थियोरेटिकली बोल रहा हूँ. प्रैक्टिकली तो ये बड़ा मुश्किल है पर थियोरेटिकली बात कर रहे हैं अभी कि थियोरेटिकली the president would not be violating the constitutional principle क्योंकि at the end of the day the will of the people of India is supreme. अब सवाल ये उठता है कि प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया को पता कैसे चलेगा कि विल ऑफ द पीपल है क्या? ठीक है, अब इस पर्पस के लिए प्रेस व्यूज बाय इलेक्शंस में बी यूज्ड, लेकिन इन मेथड्स में भी डिफिकल्टी है क्योंकि अगर हम प्रेसिडेंट को ये पावर कंसीड करते हैं कि वो प्रेस व्यू या बाय इलेक्शन के रिजल्ट से इस कंक्लूजन पे आ सकते हैं, then that would be giving superpowers to the President of India over and above what the Constitution intends. Nevertheless, अगर प्रेसिडेंट फिर भी क्लियर है इन हिज डिसीजन और वो डिसीजन रीजनेबल और प्रॉपर ग्राउंड्स पे बेस्ड है, then there would be no difficulty in taking such an action. Theoretically, President of India can take such an action कि उन्होंने डिसमिस कर दिया. अब मान लीजिए इलेक्शन आता है, ठीक है, लेट अस सपोज ही डिसमिसेस अ गवर्नमेंट, इलेक्शन आता है, वो मेंबर्स री इलेक्ट होकर फिर आ जाते हैं, तो इसका मतलब पीपल ऑफ इंडिया का सपोर्ट था. तो अब इन प्रेसिडेंट का क्या होगा? इनके खिलाफ इंपीचमेंट प्रोसीडिंग हो जाएगी सीधे सीधे, ठीक है, ही वुड बी इम्पीच्ड एंड रिमूव्ड अगर इलेक्शन आता है. और अगर लोकसभा का कॉन्फिडेंस अभी भी वो मिनिस्ट्री एंजॉय कर रही है तो इम्पीचमेंट उसी वक्त हो जाएगा, ये पक्का है. इवन दो द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज नॉट वायलेटेड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, बट इवन देन ही वुड बी सब्जेक्ट टू इम्पीचमेंट प्रोसीडिंग्स अगर उस काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्ट्री का लोकसभा में सपोर्ट है. महाभियोग की प्रोसीडिंग शुरू हो जाएगी आर्टिकल 61 में, ठीक है. फिर एक नेक्स्ट टॉपिक आता है डिसोल्यूशन ऑफ लोकसभा. So long as the Prime Minister and his cabinet enjoys the confidence, the President is bound to dissolve the Lok Sabha only when advised by the Prime Minister. But this advice will not be binding on the President when the Prime Minister loses his majority or is unable to prove his majority, or a vote of no confidence is passed against him, or when he is not facing the Parliament but the President has proved that the ruling party does not have a majority. In situation mein, the President will not follow the advice of Prime Minister with regard to dissolving the Lok Sabha. ऐसे सर्कमस्टेंसेज में प्रेसिडेंट मस्ट फाइंड आउट दैट वेदर एनी अल्टरनेटिव मिनिस्ट्री कैन बी पॉसिबल एंड ही शुड मेक ऑल पॉसिबल एफर्ट्स टू अवॉइड अ मिड टर्म पोल, कि क्योंकि इलेक्शन में बड़ा एक्सपेंडिचर होता है और हर चीज़ पे इलेक्शन नहीं करवाया जा सकता, प्रेसिडेंट को ऐसे भी ऑल्टरनेट चीज़ें देखनी चाहिए कि ऐसा है कि कोई और पार्टी मेजोरिटी में है जो प्राइम जिसका लीडर प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन सकता है। ये सारे एवेन्यूज प्रेसिडेंट को एक्सप्लोर करने चाहिए, क्योंकि याद रखिए अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर लूजेज हिज सपोर्ट और काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर लूजेज हिज सपोर्ट इन द लोकसभा, और फिर प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब आए और प्रेसिडेंट से कहें कि डिसॉल्व कर दीजिए लोकसभा को क्योंकि इन्होंने हमारा सपोर्ट अब ये नहीं कर रहे, तब प्रेसिडेंट नहीं फॉलो करेंगे एडवाइस को, ठीक है। और तब तो महाभियोग की भी प्रोसीडिंग नहीं हो सकती, ठीक है, क्योंकि द होल पर्पस हैज नाउ बीन इरोडेड। जिन कारणों से द प्रेसिडेंट वाज बाउंड टू फॉलो द एडवाइस ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर और द एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर फॉर दैट मैटर, वो कारण ही हट गए। भाई कारण ये था ना कि कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स की है लोकसभा को। अब लोकसभा ने ही सपोर्ट देना बंद कर दिया गवर्नमेंट को, उन्होंने कहा था कि भाई वोट ऑफ नो कॉन्फिडेंस पास करो, ये गवर्नमेंट किसी कॉन्फिडेंस के लायक नहीं है। तब ऐसी सिचुएशन में व्हाई वुड प्रेसिडेंट follow the aid and advice of the prime minister or the council of minister for that matter? He will not. तो अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर अगर बोलेंगे कि डिसॉल्व कर दीजिए लोकसभा, देन द प्रेसिडेंट कैन रिफ्यूज, ठीक है। ऐसी एडवाइस वोंट बी बाइंडिंग ऑन द प्रेसिडेंट। और किन किन सिचुएशन में जहां पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर लूजेज हिज मेजोरिटी और जहां पे ही इज अनेबल टू प्रूव हिज मेजोरिटी। एक तो अपनी मेजोरिटी ने लूज कर दी, मान लीजिए कई मेंबर्स दूसरी पार्टी में चले गए, अब मेजोरिटी गवर्नमेंट माइनॉरिटी गवर्नमेंट बन गई। ऐसी सिचुएशन में क्या होगा, प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज लॉस्ट हिज मेजॉरिटी, या लग रहा था कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज द मेजॉरिटी इन द पार्लियामेंट बट ही इज अनेबल टू प्रूव हिज मेजॉरिटी, या पार्लियामेंट ने नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन पास कर दिया उनके खिलाफ, या वो पार्लियामेंट फेस ही नहीं कर रहे। तो ऐसे सिचुएशन में क्या होगा। और पार्लियामेंट ना फेस करने में एक और चीज है कि पार्लियामेंट फेस नहीं कर रहे और प्रेसिडेंट के पास प्रूफ है कि जो रूलिंग पार्टी है उसके पास मेजॉरिटी नहीं है, ठीक है। सो देयर शुड बी अ सिचुएशन विद द प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज नॉट फेसिंग द पार्लियामेंट एंड द प्रेसिडेंट हैज द प्रूफ दैट द रूलिंग पार्टी does not have the majority in the parliament. तब the president is not bound to follow the advice of the prime minister with regard to the dissolution of Lok Sabha. फिर आ जाते हैं आर्टिकल 78 पे, that is the duties of the prime minister as respects to furnishing of information to the president. वो कहता है it shall be the duty of the prime minister to communicate to the president all the decisions of the council of ministers relating to the administration of the affairs of union and proposal of legislation. फिर B to furnish such information relating to the administration of the affairs of the union and proposals for legislation as the president may call for. And C, if the president so requires, to submit for the consideration of the council of ministers any matter on which the decision has been taken by the minister but which has not been considered by the council. अब इसका रीजन क्या है। देखिए पहली बात तो प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया को तो पता तो होना चाहिए कि उसके काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर क्या कर रहे हैं। ही हैज ऑल राइट टू नो that what are the affairs of union and what is going on in the country. प्राइम प्रेसिडेंट को डार्क में नहीं रखा जा सकता। इन प्रोविजंस के आने का कारण एक कंट्रोवर्सी भी है, मैं आपको बता देता हूं कि ड्यूरिंग द टेन्योर ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट जेल सिंह यानी जेल सिंह and prime minister Rajiv Gandhi, a controversy arose due to mistrust created by the prime minister by not meeting the president frequently and keeping him informed about the affairs of government, particularly the Bofors gun deal. तो उनको डार्क में रखा गया था। तो प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने कहा आर्टिकल 78 में ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर की ड्यूटी है कि हमें कम्युनिकेट करें अबाउट द डिसीजन ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स एंड द अफेयर्स ऑफ द यूनियंस एंड प्रपोजल्स ऑफ लेजिस्लेशन। प्राइम मिनिस्टर ये नहीं कर सकते कि वो बताएं ना उनको। तो ये एक ऐसी चीज है जो प्रेसिडेंट अपने डिस्क्रिप्शन पे बोल सकते हैं कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर हमें बताएं, ठीक है। फिर प्रेसिडेंट कैन आल्सो डिमांड furnishing of such information relating to administration of the affairs of unions and proposals for legislations. Also, president may also require to submit for consideration of the council of minister any matter जो जिस पे सिर्फ एक मिनिस्टर ने डिसीजन लिया है पर बाकी काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स ने उस पर डिसीजन नहीं लिया है, तो प्रेसिडेंट साहब ये रिक्वायर कर सकते हैं कि send it for consideration to the council of ministers. In these spheres the president of India can act on his own discretion. अब हम आ जाते हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के व्यूज पे, ठीक है। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कंसिस्टेंटली बहुत डिसीजंस में कहा है कि द पोजीशन ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट एंड गवर्नर्स फॉर दैट मैटर अंडर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज सिमिलर टू द पोजीशन ऑफ द क्राउन अंडर द ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम. It is a fundamental principle of the English constitutional law that the minister must accept responsibility for every executive act. The power of the sovereign or the king is conditioned by the practical rule that crown must find advisors to bear responsibility for his action. The rule of English law is incorporated in our Indian constitution as well. So it is the essence of parliamentary government that the real executive power should be exercised by the council of ministers who are responsible to Lok Sabha. The council of ministers enjoying the majority in the legislature concentrated in itself the virtual control of both executive and legislature. ठीक है, इस पे बहुत जुडिशियल प्रेसिडेंट हैं, सब हम अभी डिस्कस करेंगे बाद में. So whenever the constitution requires the satisfaction of the president or governor, जहाँ जहाँ भी ये बोलता है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की प्रेसिडेंट का सेटिस्फैक्शन चाहिए, गवर्नर का सेटिस्फैक्शन चाहिए, फॉर एग्जांपल अंडर आर्टिकल 123 और 213 जो ऑर्डिनेंस मेकिंग पावर है ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट एंड गवर्नर रेस्पेक्टिवली, या आर्टिकल 311 क्लॉज 2, आर्टिकल 356, आर्टिकल 360 एसेट्रा. द satisfaction is not the personal satisfaction of the president but it is the satisfaction in the constitutional sense under the cabinet system of government. मतलब ये satisfaction cabinet का है, council of ministers का है. So it is the satisfaction of council of ministers on whose aid and advice the president or governor has to exercise all his powers. Whether the functions exercised by the president are the functions of the union or the functions of the president, they are equally to be exercised on the aid and advice of the council of ministers, except those which he has to exercise in his personal discretion. तो पर्सनल डिस्क्रेशन का बड़ा ही लिमिटेड स्फीयर है, वो मैंने आपको बता ही दिया है. इन रिगार्ड टू प्रेसिडेंट अभी बाद में गवर्नर का भी डिस्कस करना है, ठीक है. फिर इस प्रिंसिपल के कुछ वेल नोन एक्सेप्शंस हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू जस्टिस कृष्णा अय्यर. उनके हिसाब से द चॉइस ऑफ प्राइम मिनिस्टर और चीफ मिनिस्टर is restricted by the consideration that the prime minister or chief minister should command the majority in the house. फिर dismissal of a government which has lost the majority in the house but refuses to quit the office, यहाँ पे president या governor अपने personal discretion पे act कर सकते हैं. फिर dissolution of the house where an appeal to country has become necessary, though the better course may be to act in this regard on the advice of prime minister or chief minister. According to Justice Krishna Iyer, जहाँ पे president may act on his own discretion in the act of choosing the prime minister, कि कौन सा political party का leader majority command करता है, उनको choose करने में limited discretion है. Dismissal of the government में discretion है, जहाँ पे government has lost the majority in the house of people but still refuses to quit the office. और finally dissolution of the house where appeal to the country has become necessary. ये वही ground है जहाँ पे पीपल ऑफ इंडिया का सपोर्ट गायब हो चुका है. ये थर्ड ग्राउंड काफ़ी थियोरेटिकल है, ठीक है, प्रैक्टिकल नहीं है, याद रखिएगा. इट इज़ अ थियोरेटिकल ग्राउंड, इस पर डिस्कशन हम कर चुके हैं. तो कंसिस्टेंटली सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने व्यू किया है कि बारिंग दी सिचुएशंस आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 इज मैंडेटरी एंड देयरफॉर प्रेसिडेंट कैन नॉट एक्सरसाइज द एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर विदाउट द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स. एनी एक्सरसाइज ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर विदाउट सच एड एंड एडवाइस even after the president has dissolved the legislature would be unconstitutional in the view of article 74 clause 1 and article 75 clause 2 and clause 3. ठीक है, चलिए हम पहला केस डिस्कस करते हैं. UN Rao वर्सेस इंदिरा गांधी, AIR 1971, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, पेज नंबर 1002. It is a locus classicus. In this case it was said that article 74 clause 1 is mandatory and therefore the president cannot exercise the executive power without the aid and advice of council of minister. It is essential to have a council of ministers under Article 74 clause 1 even at the time when the House of People has been dissolved or its term has expired. So the president can never function alone. ठीक है, उनको हमेशा काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर होना ही चाहिए, एक्सेप्ट ऑन दोज लिमिटेड ग्राउंड्स जो मैं बता ही चुका हूँ. तो इस केस में क्या हुआ था? In this case, the House of People was dissolved by the President on 22nd December 1970, and the respondent Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister before the dissolution. A writ of quo warranto was prayed in this case against the continuation of Srimati Indira Gandhi as the Prime Minister since the House of People has been dissolved. The appellants contended that under the Constitution, as soon as the House was dissolved, the Council of Ministers, that is the Prime Minister and other ministers, ceased to hold office. This argument was based on the reasoning that Article 75 clause 3, which prescribes that the Council of Ministers shall be collectively be responsible to the House of People. And in that context, how can the Council of Ministers be collectively be responsible to the House of People when it has been dissolved by the President? जब कोई House of People है ही नहीं तो किसके लिए collective responsible रहेंगे? तो if the Council of Ministers are not collectively responsible, so Council of Ministers को होना ही नहीं चाहिए. Basically argument था. It was contended that no void in carrying out the functions will be created because the President can exercise the executive power of the Union either directly or through the officers subordinate to him in accordance with Article 53 clause 1 of the Constitution. तो ये contention लिया जा रहा था कि President तो alone भी काम कर सकते हैं या नए officers appoint कर लें. Article 53 तो ये बोलता ही है. Supreme Court ने बोला कि it must be remembered that we are interpreting a constitution and not an act of the parliament. A constitution which enables a parliamentary system of government with a cabinet. In trying to understand, one may well keep in mind the convention, that is the constitutional conventions prevalent at the time when the constitution was framed. Article 52 provides that there shall be a President of India, and Article 53 clause 1 vests executive power of the Union in the President and provides that it shall be exercised by him either directly or through officers subordinate to him in accordance with this Constitution. The last 5 words are important inasmuch they control the President's action under Article 53 clause 1. Any exercise of the executive power not in accordance with the Constitution would be liable to be set aside by the courts. There is no doubt that the President of India is a person who has to be elected in accordance with the relevant provision of the Constitution, but even so he is bound by the provision of the Constitution. Article 74 clause 1 is in mandatory form. We must read the word shall as meaning shall and not may. If Article 74 clause 1 is read in this manner, the rest of the provision dealing with the executive must be read in harmony with the other provisions of the Constitution. Under Article 75 clause 1, President appoints the Prime Minister and appoints the other ministers on the advice of PM. And under Article 75 clause 2, they hold the office during the pleasure of the President. The President has not said that it is his pleasure that the respondent shall not hold the office. The appellant urges that House of People having been dissolved under Article 75 clause 3 cannot be complied with. According to him, it follows from the provision of this clause that it was contemplated that on dissolution of the House, PM and other ministers must resign or be dismissed by the President, and the President must carry on the government as best he can with the aid of services, that is the union services, etc. Supreme Court said that as we have shown, Article 74 clause 1 is mandatory, therefore President cannot exercise the executive power without aid and advice of Council of Ministers. We must harmonize the provision of Article 75 clause 3 with Article 74 clause 1 and Article 75 clause 2. Article 75 clause 3 brings into existence what is usually called a responsible government. In other words, the Council of Ministers must enjoy the confidence of the House of People. While the House is not dissolved under Article 85 clause 2, Article 75 clause 3 has full operation. But when it is dissolved, the Council of Ministers cannot naturally enjoy the confidence of the House. Nobody has said that the Council of Ministers does not enjoy the confidence of the House when it is prorogued. In that context, therefore, this clause must be read as meaning that Article 75 clause 3 only applies when the House does not stand dissolved or prorogued. We are not concerned with the case where the dissolution takes place under Article 83 clause 2 on the expiration of period of 5 years prescribed therein, or for Parliament is provided for contingency under any other provision or relevant law. इन सिंपल वर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट क्या कह रहा है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट कह रहा है कि ये तो किसी का भी आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं है ना कि लेट अस सपोज हाउस प्रोरोग्ड हो जाता है, ठीक है, प्रेसिडेंट ऑलवेज प्रोरोग्स द हाउस और हाउस साल में 3 बार मिलता है, तो ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम तो कोई वहाँ पे लोकसभा नहीं होती है, लोकसभा के तो सेशन होते हैं, जब सेशन में होती है तभी तो रिस्पॉन्सिबल होगी, तो तब तो कोई आर्ग्यूमेंट ये नहीं करता कि काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर को डिसमिस कर देना चाहिए तब। तो उस सेंस में जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि आर्टिकल 74 क्लॉज 1 मैंडेटरी है और हमें ये समझना चाहिए कि प्रेसिडेंट एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर बिना एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर के एक्सरसाइज कर ही नहीं सकते। इट इज बियॉन्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लिमिट्स। प्रेसिडेंट कैन नॉट एक्ट विदाउट द एड एंड एडवाइस ऑफ द काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर, ही कैन नॉट एक्सरसाइज द एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर, ठीक है। इसी कंटेक्स्ट में सुप्रीम कोर्ट कहता है कि आर्टिकल 75 क्लॉज 3 ऐसे रीड होना चाहिए और वो तभी अप्लाई करता है जब हाउस ऑफ पीपल डिसॉल्व नहीं हुआ है या प्रोरोग्ड नहीं हुआ है, ठीक है, दो ही सिचुएशन है, तभी कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी की सिचुएशन आती है। और मेरली बिकॉज हाउस ऑफ पीपल उधर नहीं है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि जो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स है उनको रिजाइन करना पड़ेगा। Dissolution of the House does not require that the Prime Minister or other minister must resign or cease to hold office or must be dismissed by President, ठीक है, because once again Article 74 clause 1 is mandatory and the President cannot exercise his executive power without aid and advice of the Council of Minister. ये जो व्यू सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लिया, it is in accordance with the conventions followed not only in United Kingdom but in countries following a similar system of responsible government. ये यूएनआर राव वर्सेस इंदिरा गांधी के जजमेंट का क्रक्स था जो मैंने आपको बता दिया। अब इस डिस्कशन से आपको एक चीज पता चल रही होगी कि इंडिया के पास प्रेसिडेंट है बट इंडिया डज नॉट हैव अ प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट। प्रेसिडेंशियल फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट यूएसए में है। अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट असली एग्जीक्यूटिव हेड होता है एंड इट इज डायरेक्टली रिस्पॉन्सिबल to the people. Indian president is the head of the state but he is not actually the head of the executive. The real executive power is actually exercised by the prime minister, ठीक है। He represents the nation, the president, he represents the nation but he does not rule the nation as India has a parliamentary system of governance. Now there is no provision in the constitution which makes the president answerable to the legislature. It would be meaningless to say that ministers are answerable for the policy and administration of the union to the Lok Sabha, and unless they are recognized to possess the authority to finally decide the affairs relating to cabinet. मतलब बेसिकली इसका है कि ये बहुत ही मीनिंगलेस होगा, वही मैं पॉइंट पहले भी बता चुका हूँ कि मिनिस्टर तो आंसरेबल है पॉलिसी और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए लोकसभा को, लेकिन वो फाइनली डिसाइड नहीं कर सकते मैटर को, है ना। तो आपको अथॉरिटी भी उनको देनी पड़ेगी और उनको फाइनलिटी भी देनी पड़ेगी विद रिगार्ड टू द पॉलिसी एंड द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ यूनियन। तो रियल एग्जीक्यूटिव कौन है? काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर, और उनका हेड कौन है? प्राइम मिनिस्टर। अब देखिए, ऐसे फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नेंस पे आने के कई रीजंस हैं। हमारी जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली थी, इट वाज डीपली कंसर्न्ड अबाउट कंसंट्रेटिंग पॉलिटिकल पावर इन अ सिंगल ऑफिस। देयर वाज नो शॉर्टेज ऑफ डेस्पोटिक रेजिम्स and wherever they turned, assembly members wanted desperately to avoid paving a way for a future dictatorship. So according to Dr. Ambedkar, an ideal executive must be both stable as well as responsible to the people who elected it. There was no political system in vogue that satisfied both objectives equally. The American and Swiss presidencies offered greater stability, while British cabinet government seemed more accountable to the people. So the Constituent Assembly settled for accountability over stability. ठीक है, मतलब उन्होंने ब्रिटिश पैटर्न चूज किया, उन्होंने कहा accountability is way better than stability. ऑलराइट, अब देखिए, अब इतने डिस्कशन के बाद आपको लग रहा होगा कि अरे प्रेसिडेंट साहब तो एकदम पपेट की तरह साउंड कर रहे हैं। ऐसा भी नहीं है, ही इज़ नॉट अ रबर स्टैम्प, ठीक है। ही इज़ नॉट जस्ट मतलब इस तरीके से उनके जो ऑफिस उसको बिलिटल भी नहीं करना चाहिए। इट्स एन ऑगस्ट ऑफिस। तो ये पूरी तरीके से फ्रेमर्स ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का इंटेंशन नहीं था टू मेक द प्रेसिडेंट अ पपेट और पैसिव स्पेक्टेटर, क्योंकि देखिए ओथ क्या लेते हैं वो, टू प्रिजर्व, प्रोटेक्ट एंड डिफेंड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड द लॉ, है ना। So he is duty bound to advise, guide and exert his influence on the decisions taken by the prime minister. देखिए both ways influence चलती है। प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो एड और एडवाइस करेंगे, वो तो बाइंडिंग है, लेकिन जब प्रेसिडेंट इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे होंगे उनका डिसीजन, तो वो भी तो कर सकते हैं, वो भी तो कुछ बोल सकते हैं। तो ही इज नॉट सपोज टू बी अ साइलेंट स्पेक्टेटर और मेरली अ रबर स्टैंड, ही हैज टू एक्सरसाइज हिज इन्फ्लुएंस। अभी मैं इसके आपको कुछ इंसिडेंसेस देता हूँ, पहले आप ये सुन लीजिए कि द 44th अमेंडमेंट रिकॉग्नाइज दिस लिमिटेड बट एसेंशियल रोल ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट, जहाँ पे रिकंसिडरेशन के लिए उन्होंने बोला था। अब याद रखिए, प्रेसिडेंट अगर किसी बिल को रिकंसिडर करने को कह दें तो जान लीजिए नेशनल न्यूज़ बन जाएगी, और जो गवर्नमेंट है वो थोड़ी ट्रबल में भी आ सकती है, हो सकता है पॉपुलर सपोर्ट खो दे। तो उसको अपनी इमेज बनाए रखनी होती है ना, और कहीं कहीं प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने गुस्से में रिजाइन कर दिया तो प्रेजेंट डे गवर्नमेंट बहुत बुरी तरीके से अफेक्ट होगी। कोई भी गवर्नमेंट जिसके प्रेसिडेंट ने रिजाइन कर दिया आउट ऑफ वन रीजन और दी अदर और बिकॉज ऑफ डिसएग्रीमेंट्स, तो जान लीजिए उस गवर्नमेंट का फिर इलेक्शंस में हाल अच्छा नहीं होने वाला है। अब प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज अ सिंबल ऑफ इंडियन नेशनल यूनिटी। every MP or MLA's every MP or MLA's vote is given to him. So thus every citizen, be he eligible or unwilling to vote, is indirectly involved in the election of president through their elected representatives. This makes the president the only nationally elected public official in India. याद रखिए, प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज अपॉइंटेड बाय द प्रेसिडेंट। जब आप जैसे लोग सोचते हैं ना कि वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर को वोट करते हैं, वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर को वोट नहीं करते हैं, वो एमपी को वोट कर रहे होते हैं। दैट एमपी में टर्न आउट टू बी द प्राइम मिनिस्टर। जैसे बीजेपी का आप एग्जांपल ले लीजिए, तो श्री नरेंद्र मोदी वाज फाइटिंग इन इलेक्शन फ्रॉम वाराणसी, तो ही वाज फाइटिंग एज अ मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट। प्राइम मिनिस्टर के लिए वोट नहीं होता, प्राइम मिनिस्टर इज टू बी अपॉइंटेड बाय द प्रेसिडेंट, है। जो भी लीडर होगा सिंगल लार्जेस्ट पार्टी का, उसको प्राइम मिनिस्टर अपॉइंट करते हैं प्रेसिडेंट। तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर के लिए वोटिंग नहीं होती है, पर प्रैक्टिकली हम लोग ये मान के चलते हैं कि दिस गाय इज गोइंग टू बिकम द प्राइम मिनिस्टर, ठीक है। लेकिन अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली और टर्मिनोलॉजिकली आपको करेक्ट रहना है तो इस पे बड़ा ध्यान दीजिएगा। यू आर नॉट एक्चुअली इन रियलिटी चूजिंग अ प्राइम मिनिस्टर, यू आर चूजिंग एन एमपी, ठीक है। who may turn out to be the prime minister. In actuality it does. आपको पता ही होता है कि कौन प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनेगा कौन नहीं बनेगा, पार्टीज पहले ही डिक्लेयर कर देते हैं। अब कांग्रेस पार्टी में राहुल गांधी बनेंगे प्राइम मिनिस्टर अगर वो इलेक्ट होते हैं कहीं से, तो वैसे इलेक्ट होते हैं, आई थिंक ही इज एन एमपी एज वेल। खैर, सो द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट इज विदाउट अ डाउट प्रेजेंट, and that will depend upon his sterling character, magnetic personality and selfless devotion to the nation. Mr. Nehru, the first prime minister of the country, observed that we want to emphasize that the ministerial character of the government and the power really resided in the ministry and in the legislature and not in the president. At the same time, we did not want to make the president just a mere figurehead. We did not give him any real power, but we made his position of one of great authority and dignity, because he is also to be the commander-in-chief of the defense forces. Now, according to Dr. M.P. Jain, most celebrated jurist in India with regard to constitutional law, second to H.M. Sirvai, if I may say so, according to him, the constitution envisages not a dictatorial but a democratic president who uses his judgment to keep the democratic and representative government functioning and not to thwart or subvert the same. President R. Venkataraman, in his autobiography, my presidential years, on page 446 expressed the view that the advice of the cabinet violative of the constitutional provision is not binding on the president. Dealing with the recommendations of Chandrasekhar's cabinet on 30th January 1991 for the dismissal of Karunanidhi government and the dissolution of Tamil Nadu State Assembly, which was made before the SR Bombay case, President R. Venkataraman writes that it was my duty to act on the advice of the cabinet so long as the proposed action was not violative of the provision of the constitution. Thus, he meant that the recommendations of the cabinet violative of the provision of the constitution could be legally and constitutionally be stalled by the president. In 1998, President K.R. Narayanan did not accept the United Front's cabinet's advice for the imposition of President's rule in the state of Uttar Pradesh, as the state's governor recommendation was unconstitutional and it was violative of the decision in S.R. Bonmai's case. The president thus rescued the constitution and parliamentary democracy and put a blanket ban on the misuse of Article 356. The cabinet respected the decision of the president. Similar was the case when the President Zail Singh sent the Indian Postal Amendment Bill 1986 to the government in 1987 for reconsideration. तो ऐसा मत समझिएगा कि प्रेसिडेंट बस एज सच रबर स्टैम्प की तरह काम करते हैं. आप एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम का भी एक इंस्टेंस ले सकते हैं. ही रिटर्न्ड ऑफिस ऑफ प्रॉफिट बिल and he was unwilling to budge about it, and parliament reaffirmed the bill, forcing President Kalam to eventually sign it. अब ऐसी सिचुएशन में उनको तो करना पड़ा था. मुझे याद है मैं इनके मेमोर्स पढ़ रहा था प्रेसिडेंट एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम के, जब पटना हाईकोर्ट ने जब प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल हटाया था, ही वाज द प्रेसिडेंट एट दैट टाइम, बिहार असेंबली को डिसॉल्व कर दिया गया था. तो पटना हाईकोर्ट ने बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट वर्ड्स में क्रिटिसाइज किया था प्रेसिडेंट का एक्शन. तो उस वक्त इनको बहुत दुख हुआ था और ये इतने दुखी थे कि ही वांटेड टू रिजाइन फ्रॉम द पोस्ट ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट. तो ऐसी सिचुएशन अराइज हो गई थी. खैर, अब इन्हीं के कॉन्ट्रास्ट में थे ये प्रेसिडेंट फखरुद्दीन अली अहमद, जो रेडली और बिना सवाल पूछे हर इमरजेंसी को अप्रूव कर देते थे. ठीक है, despite being aware that the matter was not discussed by the cabinet. ऐसे भी प्रेसिडेंट रहे. So we have our fair share of good presidents and bad presidents, but good presidents far outweigh the bad presidents. So हमारी constitutional history और practice में, since the commencement of the constitution, it has established that except in the matter of appointment of a new prime minister in critical situations, the president has always acted on aid and advice of the council of ministers. ठीक है. अब एक और इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है. अब आप ये देखिए आर्टिकल 75 का क्लॉज 5 क्या कहता है. वो कहता है मिनिस्टर who for any period of 6 consecutive months is not a member of either house of the parliament shall at the expiration of that period cease to be a minister. तो इससे ये कंक्लूजन निकलता है कि इवन द नॉन मेंबर मे बी अपॉइंटेड एज अ मिनिस्टर with the only limitation that he cannot hold the office for a period longer than 6 months without being a member of either house of the parliament. चाहे लोकसभा का मेंबर बन जाए या राज्यसभा का मेंबर बन जाए, but still the fact is that a non-member can be appointed a minister, and even the prime minister for that matter, and he would have, such a non-member minister also would have all the rights which are conferred on every minister, including right to speak in and take part in the proceedings of either house, or to take part in the joint sitting of the houses, and to take part in the committee of the parliament in which he may be named, just that he is not entitled to vote because he is not the member of either of the houses. एक ही लिमिटेशन है कि 6 मंथ से ज़्यादा ही कैन नॉट रिमेन द मिनिस्टर. उस 6 मंथ्स के अंदर ही उसे आइदर ऑफ द हाउसेस का मेंबर हो जाना चाहिए. और एक और बात का ध्यान रखिए, एक बार वो 6 महीने एक्सपायर हुए तो वापस उसे रीअपॉइंट नहीं किया जा सकता. ऐसे नॉन मेंबर को वापस रीअपॉइंट नहीं किया जा सकता, क्योंकि ऐसी प्रैक्टिस would be clearly invalid in the constitutional scheme, and it would be improper and undemocratic. That would amount to subversion of the constitution. ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा था एसआर चौधरी वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ पंजाब में, एआईआर 2001, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, पेज नंबर 2707. In that case, it was held that a non-member cannot be repeatedly be appointed as a minister for a term of 6 consecutive months without getting him elected in the meanwhile. Article 164 clause 4 ये वैसा ही मिलता जुलता प्रोविजन है जैसा आर्टिकल 75 का क्लॉज 4 है. is in a nature of exception to the normal rule that only the members of the legislatures, being ministers, and the period of such a minister who is a non-member is restricted for a period of 6 months. Since it is an exception, it should be strictly construed, and this is only a one-time privilege. The non-member, even during the period of 6 months, does not have the right to vote or the legislative immunity as provided under Article 194 clause 2. He also cannot draw the benefits of an MLA, and the will of the people cannot be permitted to be subordinated to political expediency of the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister. अब आप सोच रहे होंगे कि सर आप 164 से क्लॉज 164 के क्लॉज 4 पे चले गए. सिमिलर प्रोविजन था. चलिए आपको एक केस आर्टिकल 75 के क्लॉज 5 पे बता देते हैं. उस केस का नाम है एसपी आनंद वर्सेस एसडी देवेगौड़ा, 1996, वॉल्यूम 6, सुप्रीम कोर्ट केसेस, पेज नंबर 734. इसमें भी सेम बात बोली गई थी. In this case, the question was that whether a person who is not a member of either house of the parliament, matlab he is not an elected representative of the people, could he be sworn in as the Prime Minister of India. The petitioner, claiming to be concerned about the survival of the democratic process and the pristine glory of our constitutional scheme, submitted that if a person who is not elected representative of the people of the country, and in whom the people have not placed confidence, is allowed to occupy the high office of the Prime Minister, and on whom will rest the responsibility of governing the nation during peace and war, it would be taking a great risk which the country can ill afford to take, and therefore we should construe the relevant provisions of the Constitution in a way so as to relieve the country of such a risk. Supreme Court observed that by parity of reasoning, if a person who is not a member of state legislature, he can be appointed as a chief minister of the state under Article 164 clause 4 for a period of 6 months, then a person who is not a member of either house of the parliament, he can also be appointed as a prime minister for the same duration. On the plain reading of Article 75 clause 5, it is clear that the constitutional makers desired to permit a person who was not a member of either house of the parliament to be appointed a minister for a period of 6 consecutive months, and if during the said period he is not elected to either house, he will cease to be a minister. In Harsharan Verma versus Union of India case, it was held that to appoint a non-member to a parliament as a minister, it would not militate against the constitutional mechanism, nor would it militate against the democratic principles embodied under the constitution. ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट उस केस को कोट कर रहा है एसपी आनंद वर्सेस एसडी देवेगौड़ा के केस में. फिर इन्होंने बोला that the constitutional provisions, that is Article 75, does not draw any distinction between Prime Minister and other ministers, though the former does enjoy a special status, but all of them are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. Furthermore, a person who is appointed the Prime Minister is chosen by the elected representatives of the people, and he can occupy the position only if he enjoys the confidence of the majority of the elected representatives of the Lok Sabha. Even if the person is not the member of the house, if he has the support and confidence of the house, he can be chosen to head the Council of Ministers without violating the norms of democracy and requirement of Article 75 of being accountable to the house. That would by itself ensure the smooth functioning of the democratic process. We therefore find it difficult to subscribe to the petitioner's argument that if a person who is not a member of the House is chosen as a PM, that is the Prime Minister, then national interest would be jeopardized or that the nation would be at a great risk. English conventions show that the Prime Minister should be the member of either House, preferably of House of Commons. That is not our constitution scheme, since our constitution clearly permits a non-member to be appointed as a chief minister or even the prime minister for a short duration of 6 months. This is why in such a case, when there is any doubt about the when there is any doubt in the mind of the president, he normally asks the person appointed to seek a vote of confidence of the Lok Sabha within a few days of his appointment. In past, persons who were not elected to state legislatures have become chief ministers, and those not elected to either house of the parliament have been appointed prime ministers. Similarly, in the case of Janak Raj versus H.D. Deve Gowda, it was similarly held that a member of the state legislative assembly is not prohibited from becoming a central minister under Article 75 clause 5. Hence, where a non-member of either house of the parliament even after being appointed as a PM has retained his membership of the state legislative assembly, but on his election to the either house of the parliament within 6 months he resigned from his membership of the state assembly, his appointment as prime minister would be valid. अब सवाल उठता है क्या डिस्क्वालिफाइड मेंबर कैन ही बी अपॉइंटेड एज अ प्राइम मिनिस्टर और चीफ मिनिस्टर? इस पे केस है बी आर कपूर वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ तमिलनाडु. ये केस मैं बता चुका हूं आपको. In this case, Supreme Court held that a person convicted of a criminal offence and sentenced to more than 2 years of imprisonment cannot be appointed as a chief minister. Srimati Jayalalitha, despite being disqualified to contest the election in the view of conviction under the Prevention of Corruption Act, was elected as the leader of her party after the party has gained absolute majority in the assembly election. Governor of Tamil Nadu appointed her as the chief minister. Supreme Court held that the appointment of the chief minister was violative of Article 164 clause 4 and therefore unconstitutional and invalid. A non-member who does not possess the qualification prescribed under Article 173 or has been disqualified under Article 191 of the Constitution cannot be appointed as a chief minister or a minister for that matter. Thus, in this case, Supreme Court has read a significant restriction in Article 75 clause 5 which corresponds directly to Article 164 clause 4. That is, a person who is not a member of the House of Parliament can be appointed as a Prime Minister or a Minister only if he has the qualifications for the membership of the Parliament as prescribed under Article 84 and is not disqualified from the membership thereof by the reasons of disqualifications set out in Article 102. This reasoning can be had if we study B.R. Kapoor versus State of Tamil Nadu, जहाँ पे क्रिमिनल कन्विक्शन की वजह से द अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ द चीफ मिनिस्टर वाज क्वाश्ड. ठीक है, तो आई थिंक इतना डिस्कशन आज के लिए सफिशिएंट है. फ्रॉम नेक्स्ट टाइम हम थोड़ा और डिस्कशन करेंगे क्योंकि यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव पे अभी बहुत सारा डिस्कशन बाकी है. मतलब अब तो सारी चीज़ें फंडामेंटल राइट से छोटी ही हैं, सब जल्दी हो जाएगा, लेकिन स्टिल अ लॉट इज लेफ्ट. ठीक है, सो दैट इज इट फॉर टुडे. आई वुड सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर.